your interest in the curved bow start?
Well, it was with a contemporary piece of a living composer who wanted, or he had already written a piece which was polifonics on the cello together with the piano. And he thought I could use two bows, traditional bows. So one bow would be over the strings and the other bow would be underneath the strings. And so I could play 4 strings together. But if you can give me your bow, this is such a bow, I would play the middle strings here and the other strings here. This is a totally different sound, because if you bow a string underneath, it does give a more noisy, more narrow sound, which is totally different to the way we normally play. And the other thing is, this I don't like, of course. I mean, it's not something which I'm hurrying for. But the other thing is, you have 2 bows in your hands, double weight, and you don't know how to hold it. So I said to him, why don't we use a curved bow? And I said to him, I will look for a curved bow, because I thought it already exists. And then I looked all over Europe, also in museums, and I couldn't find one. And then I asked maybe 30 bow makers, and they refused because the wood breaks and so on, and they wouldn't do that. So I went to Japan, and I asked a show maker, this mouth organ, they make the show out of bamboo. And he gave me bamboo wood, and he showed me how to bend it. And I came to Europe, and I thought maybe somebody would do that for me. But by accident, I saw a curved bow on the wall of a violin maker in Germany. And this was for violin. And I asked him, could I please have this bow to try it out? And I have a concert in Huddersfield, and I will play there, and I possibly could need a curved bow. And so I played in Huddersfield Festival. This was in 1989. The first time with the curved bow, short pieces by John Cage, but this was a violin bow. And this violin maker was the first bow maker for me. He made the first cello curved bow, which I used only a few weeks because it was not practical. You see, he never had done a curved bow before for the cello. He did not know how should be the curve, how should be the lever, how should it be designed. He just made a curved bow with a metal leather, and I had to use a mitten because it did hurt so much in my hand that it was, otherwise I couldn't play with it. But the public did like it. They applauded a lot, and I had always to give encores with the mitten and the curved bow. But for me it was not the best thing, so immediately I asked for 2 other bows, a flat curved and a high curved bow, like I have today. But again, it was very primitive, so I had to continue to make new prototypes and to try everything out what I had in mind. But long story.
And you never stopped to develop until now?
Yes,
the curved bow.
Still for this concert I tried out another curved bow, which is totally straight, either concave nor convex. It was, well, I thought maybe it would work, but it's not good as the bows I have, so it doesn't really work. Maybe there is no, you cannot combine the idea of the concave and the convex bow. The idea is completely different, so there is no compromise. I know now. So There's an interesting picture by Chagall I saw once in the Vaticano. An angel plays a bow, and it looks like the index finger is prolongated to the bow. So it's the same thing. And this is the feeling I have with this bow.
Uh-huh.
It's like my index finger. And with the other bow, you don't have it. I mean, the index finger is very important, but you don't have this feeling because you don't. You could throw it even to the strings, and this is a totally different feeling. The curved bow, you always have to have good in a way in your hand that you always have control about the bow. Mm-hmm. You never lose it. Mm-hmm. You, and this is a part of your hand actually. Mm-hmm. So it's more zusammengewachsen with your hand. I don't know the English word now. It's like natural index finger, like you are born with it maybe.
Very clear.
Yeah.
And also you compose.
Yes.
Especially for this bow, not only probably for the bow, but
yeah.
I like to compose, and I listen to your composition, very, very beautiful. And so you compose very often?
You know, there are two subjects for cello which are not developed until now, really developed. This is the polyphonics playing and the harmonics. And this subject I tried to cover in my book, Fingerboards and Overtones, 20 years ago already. And this was something which interested composers very much. Mm-hmm. So composers were very interested in these new techniques. And the first one was John Cage, as we know. The second one was Dieter Schnebel. And of course, I myself am interested in that because we have 4 strings, we have 5 fingers. And I remember when I started with playing the cello as a child, there was in my book of etudes, there was a lesson with chords in it, and I looked at it and thought, wow, this would be great to play on the cello. And to come to this lesson, I practiced a lot because I wanted to come quickly to this lesson. So, and the teacher said to me, well, you see these chords, and it's very easy to do. If you have 3 strings, you make this. You play first 2 and then 2. Or if you have 4 strings, you play 2 and 2. And this disappointed me so much that I didn't practice after that, because I thought this is really, what do you call it, Betrug? This is something which shouldn't be that way. This is not. This couldn't be truth. And
how old you?
Well, 10 years maybe, or 9 or what. So, but I forgot about that because the traditional cello technique makes you forget all of the possibilities what the instrument has also in it. So I forgot about that. I studied the literature I had to study. I played a lot of contemporary music, which is not polyphonious for the cello. And it started really with this first piece, Walter Zimmermann, who had in mind this bow technique with 2 bows. And then immediately after that, John Cage wrote a piece, 1/8 for cello, and it could be played also with big orchestra. Mm-hmm. It's a very difficult piece because if you can play 4 strings, the left hand is much more demanded. You have to find out how to, all these combinations which are on 4 strings possible. And that's why I wrote the book, because I didn't know how works the left hand on the fingerboard, what are the stretches on 3 or 4 strings. On 2 strings is easy, but on 3 strings it gets more complicated. And so I made prints on the cello. And the first and second series, I didn't understand the structure of it, the meaning. And then I understood how the left hand functions. And then I made a third series, and this is in the book. You can see the pictures, 47 prints, I guess. So it shows what the left hand can finger, so the curved bow can play it. So the question arose with the bow, it ends up with the left hand.